We are up to Chamishi, the fifth Aliyah on Parshas Toldot. And in this Aliyah we have the very famous story of Yaakov stealing the brachas from Esav, the brachas of Yitzchak Avinu. And after taking the brachas, the last pasuk in the Aliyah says as follows: Vayigash vayishak loi. He approached Yitzchak, Yaakov approached Yitzchak, vayishak loi, and he kissed him, vayirach reach begadav, and Yitzchak smelled the smell of Yaakov's clothing, vayivarcheu, and he gave him a bracha, vayomer rei reach b'ni kareach sadeh sheberchi Hashem. You smell like a field that Hashem has blessed. Rashi says he smelled the smell of Gan Eden on Yaakov's clothing. And that seems very beautiful, a beautiful smell that Yaakov came in with. But the Gemara tells us something very different. The Gemara tells us that the word begadav, yorach es reach begadav, he smelled the scent of his clothing. The word begadav can also be read as boigdav. Boigdav means traders. A boged is a trader. And the Gemara says that what Yitzchak smelled was really a horrible smell, a smell of Yidden in future generations that were buried deep inside Yaakov. And these Yidden were going to be horrible traitors to the Jewish people. And the Gemara identifies two specific individuals, Yaakov Ish Tzroiros and Yosef Meshisa. These were two Jews who were literally traitors. And they went over to the Roman side in the time of the Churban of the Beis HaMikdash. And the Gemara says a story that they went in, when the Romans were trying to go in and take out the Kalim of the Beis HaMikdash, the soldiers kept on dying. As they went into the Beis HaMikdash, they would drop dead. They couldn't handle the holiness that was there. Until finally they decided, let's send in a Jew. Maybe he'll survive. And they sent in Yaakov Ish Tzroiros to go in and to take out the Kalim. And he did. He was in such a low place that he was willing to go into the Beis HaMikdash and take out the Kalim to give it to the Romans. And he brings out some of the Kalim and they tell him, okay, go back and bring out more stuff. And he says, no, I'm not going back in. And they said, what do you mean? You just went in for us. He said, I'm not doing it again. Sorry. And they said, if you don't do it, we're going to kill you. And he says, I don't care. And they took him, they tied him to the back of a horse, and they dragged him around until he died. And the Gemara says, here is a Jew who was so low, who was so distant, who was a complete traitor to the Jewish people. And yet, when push comes to shove, when the Romans want him to go back in, after he experienced a little bit of Kedusha of the Beis HaMikdash, he says, no, I'm not doing it. And he's willing to give up his life, al Kiddush Hashem. So, although seemingly, if you would have seen him his entire life, there would have been a horrible spiritual stench coming out of him. This is a Jew who is so far from holiness. And yet, if you look really deeply, you would have to watch till the end of his life, when you would see that there is a beautiful, beautiful smell, even in the lowest Jews, that when a Yid is pushed against the wall, the neshama, the pintal Yid comes out, and ultimately a Jew does what's right, and a Jew is willing to give up his life al Kiddush Hashem. And there's a big tzaddik by the name of Levi Yitzchak Barditchev, who very famously only saw the good in every single Yid. And he was once talking to one of the town Rishonim, a Jew who did not have too many mitzvahs, plenty of averos. And he told him, he said, I think his name was Hershela, he said, Hershela, I'm very jealous of you. And Hershela said, Rabbi, you shouldn't be too jealous, because I don't have any mitzvahs, lots of averos. And he said, that's exactly why I'm jealous, because I know you're going to do tshuva, and all of your averos are going to turn into mitzvahs, like the Gemara tells us. And Hershela said, Rebbe, if you think you're jealous now, wait till next week. You'll be even more jealous, because I'll have much more averos. And Rabbi Levi Yitzchak laughed, and he said, we'll see. And at the end of his life, Hershela called in Rabbi Levi Yitzchak, and he started to cry, and he said, Rebbe, I wish I would have lived my life differently. And he closed his eyes, and he passed away. And Rabbi Levi Yitzchak smiled, and he said, I was right. Hershela did tshuva, and all of his averos were now turned into mitzvahs. And that's what it means to be a Yid, that at the end of the day, every Yid is going to do tshuva, is going to return, and is going to smell like that beautiful smell of Gan Eden that Yitzchak smelled on the clothing of Yaakov.